Every single evening at sunset, this happens. Two armies meet at a gate and perform fury at each other. Choreographed stomping, synchronized glaring, kicks so high they'd impress a ballet company. Crowds on both sides, bleachers full, roaring like it's a cup final. It looks like theater. It is theater. Now the part that stops being funny. These two countries have fought 4 wars. They both have nuclear weapons. A former American president called this the most dangerous place in the world. And here's the question that started this investigation. These two nations were one country for centuries. Same land, same rivers, same food, same songs, same grandmothers. So what happened? The answer is not ancient hatred. The answer has a date, a deadline, and a man with a pen who had never been here in his life. Let's follow the evidence. Start where the empire starts. After crushing a massive rebellion in 1857, Britain took direct control of India, one landmass holding 1/5 of every human being alive. Hindus, Muslims, Sikhs, Christians, dozens of languages, 1,000 princely states, and mostly, for centuries, they'd lived tangled together. Mixed villages, shared shrines, neighbors. Then the empire did something that sounds boring and turned out to be a bomb with a very long fuse. It started counting. Censuses. Every 10 years, every person sorted into a religious column. Then, in 1909, it went further. Separate elections, where Muslims voted for Muslim seats. Think about what that does. Slowly, quietly, what God do you pray to stops being a private question and becomes your political team. The empire called it order. History has another name for it. Divide and rule. To be fair to the accountants, they didn't invent the differences. The differences were real. What they did was carve them into the furniture. Now meet the most important lawyer of the 20th century, Muhammad Ali Jinnah. Brilliant, secular, so committed to Hindus and Muslims working together that he was literally hailed as, this is the actual phrase, the best ambassador of Hindu-Muslim unity. Hold that thought, because history is about to do the thing it does. Over 20 years, Jinnah watched the numbers and reached a cold conclusion. In a democratic India, Muslims, a quarter of the population, would be outvoted forever. Not oppressed, necessarily, just permanently second. And from that arithmetic, he built an idea with teeth. Muslims and Hindus aren't two communities of one nation. They are two nations. And a nation needs a state. March 1940, Lahore. The Muslim League formally demands independent Muslim-majority states in the Northwest and East. The idea now has a name: Pakistan. Congress, Gandhi, Nehru, rejected the whole premise. One land, one people, full stop. And here's the honest part almost nobody says out loud. Both arguments were reasonable. We'll be a permanent outvoted minority is a real fear. You can't split a family by religion is a real principle. Two rational positions aimed directly at each other. Sound familiar? It should. It's the same collision we saw 1 episode ago on a different map. Then the Second World War lit the fuse. Britain dragged India into the war without asking. Congress launched Quit India, and Britain jailed its entire leadership for years. Politics hates a vacuum. While Gandhi and Nehru sat in prison, Jinnah's League grew from a debating club into a mass movement. By 1946, Britain was bankrupt, exhausted, and wanted out of India the way you want out of a burning building. One question left. One country at the exit, or two? August 16th, 1946. Jinnah calls a direct action day, a nationwide show of Muslim strength. In Calcutta, it becomes a massacre. 3 days, roughly 4,000 dead, Muslims and Hindus both, killing and dying in the same streets. And that was the moment the argument changed. Because after Calcutta, this stopped being a debate about constitutions and became something more primal. If we end up as the minority, they will do to us what we just watched. Fear is the real founder of Pakistan, and of the India that let it go. Both sides will tell you the other started it. The evidence says, by 1947, it no longer mattered who started it. Everyone believed the other would finish it. Enter the last viceroy. Lord Mountbatten, cousin of the king, arrives in March 1947 with instructions to hand India over by June 1948. He looks around at the rising violence and moves the date up to August 1947, 10 months early, 70 days away. Let me say that again, because it's the single most consequential scheduling decision of the 20th century. The partition of 1/5 of humanity was given roughly the timeline of a kitchen renovation. And someone had to draw the actual line. So London sent a lawyer, Sir Cyril Radcliffe, a brilliant barrister, distinguished, respected, and, I need you to sit with this, a man who had never been to India. Not once. Not a holiday. That, incredibly, was the argument for him. He was impartial. He landed in July. He was given 5 weeks. 5 weeks, outdated maps, old census tables, and 2 provinces, Punjab and Bengal, where Hindus, Muslims, and Sikhs were so interwoven that any line would cut through villages, families, in one case, through the middle of a single house. Radcliffe himself said a proper job needed years. He had until August. He finished the line before independence. And then, the detail that tells you everything. The government sat on it. The border was announced on August 17th, 2 days after both nations were born, which means tens of millions of people celebrated their independence without knowing which country they were standing in. The birthday came first. The birth certificate came 2 days later, and it was written in other people's blood. What happened next has no real precedent in human history. The moment the line appeared, being a Muslim in Amritsar or a Hindu in Lahore stopped being a neighborhood fact and became a death sentence. And so the subcontinent began to unmix. Between 12 and 20 million people, nobody could count, grabbed what they could carry and crossed the new border in both directions. The largest migration ever recorded. Columns of refugees 50 miles long. And through it all ran the trains, packed with families fleeing each way. Some trains arrived at the platform in silence, everyone aboard already dead, sent onward as a message. The death toll, somewhere between 200,000 and 2 million. Most historians settle near 1 million. In one summer. Neighbor against neighbor, in villages that had shared weddings for 400 years. And here's the fact I can't put down. For 1 million dead, the number of people ever put on trial is approximately 0. Both new nations needed the story to be about their own suffering, so the guilt was simply filed away. Remember that. It's about to matter for 70 years. Because the line had one more flaw, the worst one. It didn't actually cover everything. 562 princely states, kingdoms inside the Raj, each had to choose India or Pakistan. Almost all chose by geography and majority. Almost. In the far north sat Kashmir, a stunning Himalayan kingdom with a Muslim-majority population, ruled by a Hindu Maharaja, Hari Singh. Pakistan's logic said Kashmir was obviously theirs. India's logic said the ruler decides, and the ruler wanted neither. He dreamed of independence, and he dithered. In October 1947, thousands of armed tribesmen from Pakistan poured down the valleys toward his capital. The Maharaja panicked and made the deal that still shapes the world: military rescue from India in exchange for signing Kashmir over to India. Indian troops airlifted in within a day. Pakistan sent its army, and the two countries that were 9 weeks old were at war with each other over the one place the line never settled. The UN froze the fighting in 1949 along a ceasefire line, a temporary line splitting Kashmir in two. That temporary line is still there. It has a name now: the Line of Control, and it is the most militarized border on Earth. Kashmir isn't a war that started after partition. Kashmir is partition. The last sentence of 1947, still unfinished. And then the pattern locked in. 1965, war over Kashmir, again. Stalemate, again. 1971, the one that rewrote the map and quietly broke the founding idea. Because Pakistan had been born in two halves, west and east, 2,000 kilometers of India between them, united by religion and almost nothing else. The east, Bengali-speaking, poorer, politically sidelined, rose up. The crackdown was savage. Millions fled into India. India invaded, and East Pakistan became a new country, Bangladesh. Sit with the irony, because we don't have to invent it. The state founded on the theory that religion alone makes a nation lost half of itself to the discovery that it doesn't. Language, geography, dignity. They voted too. Then the stakes went vertical. 1974, India tests a nuclear device. 1998, India tests again, and Pakistan answers within weeks. Two neighbors, one unresolved border, and now two arsenals. A year later, 1999, at Kargil, on glaciers 3 miles high, they fought the first shooting war between nuclear powers and human history. Over positions on, where else? The Line of Control. 4 wars, one pattern. Every road leads back to the same unfinished line. So, the actual question: why do they still hate each other? Not because of theology, because of 1947. Partition isn't a chapter in these two countries' history books. It is the history book. Almost every family on both sides carries it. A grandmother who fled, a village left behind, a name on the wrong side of a line. 1 million dead with no justice means the wound was never cleaned, only bandaged with flags. Kashmir keeps the wound open, the one piece of the argument neither side can release, because releasing it would mean the founding story was wrong. India's story, a secular nation, whole. Pakistan's story, the Muslims' safe homeland. Kashmir contradicts one of them no matter what happens to it. That's why it can't be solved by a clever map. It's not a territorial dispute wearing a political costume. It's two national identities holding the same piece of proof. And every year the wound is performed, on schedule, at sunset, at that border gate. The high kicks, the glares, the roaring crowds. 2 armies reenacting the argument, nightly, like a play nobody's allowed to close. Here's what the evidence keeps whispering, and it's the same thing it whispered last time, on a different map. This was never ancient. Grandparents of people alive today went to each other's weddings. The hatred is younger than the refrigerator. It was manufactured by an empire's ledgers, a rushed exit, 5 weeks, and a pen. Which means it isn't fate, it's history. And history, as the people at that gate prove every single evening, is a performance. And performances can close. Sleep well.